a Brazilian writer who was present at every meeting that founded the Academia Brasileira de Letras. She participated, she contributed, and when the list of founding members finally was out, her name wasn't on it. Not because she wasn't talented enough. Her own husband said publicly, "It wasn't me who should be there, it was her." Her name was Julia Lopes de Almeida. And today we're not talking about the injustice. We are talking about something even more overlooked. The fact that she was writing Gothic horror in Brazil in 1903 and nobody wants to talk about it. That's not quite true. I am talking about it. Welcome to Holes in the Forest. I'm Marianne Saltores, folklorist, Gothic fiction scholar, and Gothic fiction author. I'm also the publisher at Caipora Books. And today we're going deep into Ânsia Eterna, Julia's 1903 short story collection. Specifically, we're starting with a story called Os Porcos, the pigs. Because if you want to understand Brazilian Gothic, this story is a door. And once you open it, you can't unopen it. Julia Lopes de Almeida was born in 1862 in Rio de Janeiro. She published more than 30 books in her lifetime. Critics of her era placed her alongside Machado de Assis, Aloysio Azevedo, Coelho Neto, the biggest name in Brazilian literature. She was celebrated. She was translated into other languages. She was, by any measure, one of the most significant prose writers of her generation. And then she died in 1934. And literary establishment quietly forgot her. Part of why she was forgotten is the same reason she was excluded from the ABL in the first place. She was a woman writing in a world that had very specific ideas of what a woman should write and how and for who. I don't think that has changed much. She was expected to be moralistic, educational, safe, and some of her work was all that, but Ânsia Eterna was not. Here's what most people don't know about Julia. She was writing Gothic fiction at a time when Brazilian literary criticism actively discouraged it. It takes a woman. Rebel is not the rebel. The critical establishment of the 19th century believed that Brazilian literature should be documentary. It should represent the nation, the landscape, the people. Stories about horror, the supernatural, that's transgression. Those were European problems. That wasn't Brazil. Except it was, and Julia knew it. What she did in Ânsia Eterna is take the Gothic framework, that the horrible place, the haunted past, the monstrous figure, and fill it with specifically Brazilian horrors. Not castles, farmhouses, not aristocratic tyranny imported from England, to the everyday tyranny of families in a country that had just abolished slavery and was barely beginning to question what men could do to women and children behind closed doors. The monsters in her stories aren't supernatural. They're human, and that makes them worse. Which brings us to Os Porcos. Oh, I love it. A young cabocla, a woman named Umbelina, becomes pregnant by her employer's son, a man who wants nothing to do with her or the child. Her father's response is immediate and brutal. When the baby is born, he says he will feed it to the pigs. And Umbelina isn't shocked because she has seen this before. She remembers from her own childhood finding a small arm, a child's arm, among the plants in the yards. That had been her father's work too. She tries to get to her former lover's house before she gives birth. She doesn't make it. Well, if you ever read the story, you can imagine that it does not end very well. What Julia is doing here is technically and deliberately Gothic. The field at night becomes a locus horribilis, the terrible space. The description shifts as Umbelina's pain increases. What starts as a moonlight landscape becomes threatening, dark, full of omens. Snakes in the grass, a bird startled into flight, the fig trees with its shadowed arms. The past haunts the present. Umbelina's father has done this before. The memory of the child's arm, that's the phantasmagoric past present into the present, making the horror feel inevitable. And the monster? It's not the pigs. The pigs are just pigs. The monster is the father. The monster is always the employer's son. The monster is also society that placed Umbelina in that field alone in the first place and then judged her for being there. Julia Lopes de Almeida presents all of this with what one researcher describes as a disturbing casualness. The horror unfolds and as if it's simply what happens, because for women like Umbelina, it was. This story was written in 1903, and I want you to sit with that for a moment. 1903, Brazil had abolished slavery 15 years earlier. The Republic was 14 years old, and a woman writer in a collection that critics praised, that was sold in bookshops in Rio, published a story about infanticide, about sexual exploitation, about a society that destroyed women who didn't stay pure, and then punished their children for existing. Not very much different than 2026, just another scenario. She wasn't writing sensation, she was writing testimony in Gothic form. That's what Brazilian Gothic does. It doesn't need a fog and castles. It has the sertão. It has the ingenio. It has the yard where the pigs are kept. The horror is already there. You just have to be willing to look at it. Caipora Books, my ambitious, small, newly rising publishing house, translated Os Porcos into English because this story deserves to be read beyond Brazil, beyond Portuguese. The link is in the description. It's this beauty. Really love this. Female Shadow is a collection, an anthology of Gothic stories written by women from the 19th century, which Julia is a part of, obviously, all dark stories, and you will find the pigs. Because this was one of the first books of its kind, and I'm a great fan of Julia's and her work, so you can find it in this ebook or in this beautiful paperback version if you want to get to know her. I highly recommend it. If you're new here, this channel is about exactly this: folktales, dark literature, the stories that got hidden, forgotten, or deliberately buried. Subscribe if that's something that you love. We talk about dark folk tales, we talk about tropical Gothic, and the very eerie stories no one wants to talk about. We talk about it here. So hit the like, subscribe button, and place a wish. What do you want to know? Let me know. I'll do my best to make a good founded video